I'm Nick Altmeyer with linkinglewiscounty.com. We're here this morning with Lewis County Manager Ryan Piche for our monthly This Month in County Government segment. So December is kind of a busy month, Ryan, and we know you've got a lot on the agenda today too, so we're going to go through this as quickly as possible. The legislators will be meeting tomorrow night, which is Tuesday, December 4th. That's right here at the courthouse. Starts at 5 p.m. and the meeting will start off with a pair of public hearings. Once to rescind the local law passed a few months ago to override the tax cap, that wasn't needed for this year's budget, so the legislators will just go ahead and rescind that law. And the other public hearing will be for proposed addition of the Rodman Runnels property to the ATV trail system. And that's properties located on the Fitch Road in the town of Leiden.
Correct, and that we've already had the seeker environmental review, we've had the land use review, now it goes to public comment, and barring any surprises, it'll be added to our ATV system soon.
Okay, so anyone with any public comment on that, the time to be heard is tomorrow night, 5 p.m.
Correct.
Right here at the board meeting.
I'd also, excuse me, I'd also add, Nick, that at 5 o'clock tomorrow, Jefferson Community College will be giving a presentation on their plans for the new facility that will be opening in January.
Okay, so they're going to go over some curriculum details.
Correct.
And some of their ideas
Yep.
along that line. Okay, perfect. Okay, so quickly running through some of the resolutions here. A lot of it is signing new contracts, things like that. Just end of year business, making sure everything's in place for next year.
Yep, lots of year-end housekeeping.
Okay, so there were a couple of resolutions on here. One of them, just quickly to point out, was there's a resolution on comment to the DEC on their revised draft recreation management plan for the Oswegatchie conservation easement. So I think that was something that the county kind of wanted, the way that it worked out. So
absolutely, we've been excited about this revised plan because it's an opportunity to for Lewis County to provide input to the state about what we see as a vision as a future use for that property. It's a large tract of land that's in Lewis County. Obviously, we'd like to see it open for recreation, all kinds of recreation, not just limited to certain types. So anyone who has any interest in continue to expand our motorized recreation in Lewis County or wants to expand access from the public to state lands, we would encourage them to participate in this public comment period, as the board is through their resolution.
Okay, perfect. And most of that Oswegatchie conservation easement is in the town of Diana.
Yes.
And a good portion of it is inside the blue line of the Adirondack Park.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, we do have a resolution here for an appointment to the hospital board of managers that the board will be taking up tomorrow night. So this is to replace Gary Turk, who has been on the board for quite a long time and resigned due to some time issues and things like that. So the new appointment is going to be Karen Rennie. So I didn't know if you wanted to introduce Karen or had anything to mention about Karen.
Well, I would first like to thank Mr. Turk for his years of service. He's not only served on the hospital board, but he's served on the Development Authority of the North Country's board of directors. He's done a lot to represent Lewis County and has been a good civic partner. So we certainly want to thank him. Miss Rennie comes to us with a lot of years of experience in the world of healthcare. She started her career as a nurse and has worked up through insurance and that business. She was the CEO of an insurance company, spent some time in Texas, some time in California, and she's returned back to the North Country and is looking to get more involved in the community. So certainly a wonderful addition to the hospital board.
Okay, perfect. Now, we should point out that this is something that the Board of Legislators does every year. We do have the annual resolution in here for the...
My favorite resolution.
Your favorite. Well, I think we caught you off guard with it last year.
I'd never heard of it until last year.
And this is for the dog quarantine, which is in effect in Lewis County from December 15th through May 15th. And basically, it just says to protect the deer population and things like that. Dogs aren't supposed to be just out running loose during this time period, and they need to either be with their owner or on a leash or confined in some way.
Correct. You got it.
Okay, so that covers that one really quick. We do have a resolution in here for Let's see which one we want to do next. Okay, the radios and equipment for the Snowmobile Club members.
Yeah.
So this was kind of an important one as well.
Sure.
So this is providing them some equipment for the actual groomers on the snowmobile clubs, so they can have access to the county's 911 emergency channel.
Correct.
They'll be able to communicate directly with dispatchers as well as law enforcement agencies during an emergency. And I think it was kind of trading off some services so they could have access to these radios. But I think the sheriff pointed out that he thought it was important just because sometimes the groomers are the first ones to come upon an accident scene, or maybe can advise against negative trail conditions, or if there's a tree across the trail or something along those lines. So they can relay the information to dispatchers and deputies much quicker. So
Absolutely. So we know that cell phone coverage has certainly improved in Lewis County, but it's not 100% yet. And a lot of the places where cell phones are not very effective are places that our trail system goes through. So having that layer of communication with the groomers, who are the ones that are out there every day, they're really our first line of defense for public safety on these trail systems. They've got the big tracks and they can reach places where our sheriff's department and EMS and fire departments cannot. So in exchange for their cooperation during emergency events, we are providing them the necessary radio equipment in order to be able to communicate with each other and with dispatch.
Okay. And they'll have access to the main emergency channel, the dispatcher channel, to communicate back and forth with the dispatchers.
Yep.
So, okay. We do have a resolution in here for a shared services plan for next year. So I think that was kind of most Lewis County municipalities are pretty. They already share a lot of their services, I guess.
So by our
way to put it.
Yep, absolutely. So the resolution in the packet sets a public hearing for our shared service plan for the 20th, which will be our last meeting of the year. At that public hearing, we will ask the board to approve. After the public hearing, we'll ask the board to approve the shared services plan. Our town supervisors and mayors have already voted on the shared services plan for 2019. They've approved that. This is just allowing the public input. Basically, between the way that our highway departments work together and our planning and zoning, we save about $1 million a year just by working together. And next year, with the dissolution of Harrisville, that will count towards Lewis County's contribution to continuing to share services and eliminate layers of government, and hopefully drive towards a more efficient system.
Okay, so we'll have more on this before the December 20th meeting, and then the public will have a chance to comment on it.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Perfect. And I guess the last thing we'll touch upon here, we are running a little short on time today, would be the there's a resolution in here that the legislators are interested in requiring building permits for all commercial wind energy conservation systems. So this is kind of a new thing for the county.
It is.
We talked a little bit about this beforehand, where basically now the permitting is optioned through the state, and the state collects all the fees on that. This would be allowing Lewis County to replace the state permit with a local permit?
Not replace, but require a local permit. So
would that be in addition to the state permit?
No.
Okay.
So for the wind turbine projects anywhere in New York State, they have to acquire a building permit. The state offers their own building permits for wind turbine projects. However, if there's a local requirement that is as strict as the state requirement, then the wind turbine companies have to get the local permit. So this policy basically creates our own permit for wind turbines. So that will mean that the county will now collect that revenue for each wind turbine that is built in Lewis County, and it just makes sense. That's revenue that we don't want to leave on the table as these projects come forward. So that will be part of the resolution, and hopefully it'll allow us to collect a little bit more revenue from these projects. Because
a lot of time and planning goes in through the planning departments and other departments here at the county level to make these projects go off the ground. So
100%. So to recoup some of that sunk cost, the overhead costs of staff time that we put in, which is a lot of staff time on these projects, is certainly a good thing for the county.
So as long as the county's policy is as strict or stricter than the state's policy, the wind turbine companies can get the local permit, and then they don't need the state
Correct.
permit.
They can choose to get both, but I'm certain they won't.
Okay.
They'll choose to get ours.
Okay. Was there anything else coming up for tomorrow night's meeting that we didn't discuss that you thought deserves some discussion?
I don't believe so.
We are going to be appropriating the funds for the CHIP budget for next year for the spring, so we'll go ahead and put together a list of some of the roads and things like that will be getting worked on this year. But
roads and bridges for 2019, and that's in our capital budget. And like you said, Nick, we can get into that at another time.
It looks like $809,000 is going to be allocated through the CHIPS program, so for the county road budget for next year. So okay, well, we really appreciate you fitting us in today, Ryan.
Oh, of course. Yeah. And
once again, tomorrow night's meeting, December 4th, right here at the Lewis County Courthouse, the old courthouse building, second floor, starts at 5 p.m. And pair of public hearings, and JCC will be here as well to discuss some of their curriculum opportunities coming up. So all right, Ryan, well, have a great day. Thank you very much.